President Trump says, Justin, I want you to tell me, if there were one thing I could do tomorrow to completely wreck the Canadian economy, what would it be? And Trudeau goes,
the news is non-stop here. Welcome back to Moose and Loose. My name's David. Today's top story here. Apparently, Justin Trudeau is planning on stepping down. But then someone talked him out of it. Who did this? Who is this traitor? We want to know. Not only this, I've actually got some footage of people trying to convince Trudeau to stay in power. There's a whole bunch of other stories. We've got Ben Shapiro giving a speech in America. It's a very interesting story of Trump teaching Trudeau how to properly negotiate and humiliating the guy. There's a whole bunch of stuff. Let's just jump into this. First off, we've got this bombshell story here. It says, Mr. Trudeau was prepared to step aside on Monday, but was talked out of leading, said a third source. So there's this article going around from the Globe and Mail, which I've got here. So Prime Minister Justin Trudeau is holding discussions with cabinet ministers and senior party leaders about stepping down early in the new year. But close confidants have walked away from these conversations with starkly different conclusions about where he stands. So we got three different sources here. First one said one confidant spoke to Trudeau. Prime Minister believes he can no longer continue after Chrystia Freeland rocked the government with her surprise resignation. So that, according to the first one, rocked Trudeau right to the bones.
I love this country.
The second source said that Prime Minister does not want to go and remains motivated to lead the Liberals through the headwinds they face. So Captain Cpac, King Narcissist, wants to keep going ahead even though nobody wants him to stay. There's a few crumb statures, but most of us want Trudeau to go.
We stand with Canadians. We stand up for Canada.
The conflicting conclusions reflect the chaotic and fast-moving political dynamics, as well as several cabinet ministers are campaigning to persuade Mr. Trudeau to stay and overcome the mounting calls to quit. Mr. Trudeau was prepared to step aside on Monday, but then was talked out of leaving, a third source said. Three other sources, including a senior Liberal Party insider who met with the Prime Minister late in the week, said Mr. Trudeau is reflecting on his future, but will not decide on whether to stay or leave until early in the new year. With that said, deep within this clip from a company I'm just going to be referring to as the Corrupt Broadcasting Corporation from now on, just check out this 5 seconds. Listen carefully.
Will you step aside,
Do not resign!
Will you step
Do
aside,
not resign! Do not resign!
Do not resign. Where did they find these nut jobs? Did they hire these people to say that so it looked good on camera? You can see Captain Cpac love this moment.
Resign!
Will you step
Do not
aside, sir?
resign!
Look at this. Did you get the payment? You're gone, Trudeau. Get out of here. What's funny too is if you go back, look at this guy with the backwards sign. This video is not flipped. So this guy just... Your sign's backwards, dude. Now for Trudeau's cabinet shuffle, which is happening later today, we do have these ones that are confirmed now.
CTV News has confirmed Toronto MP Nathaniel Erskine-Smith will become the new housing minister. He replaces Sean Fraser, who'd announced he's not seeking re-election. Ottawa MP David McGuinty will be named public safety minister, taking over from Dominic LeBlanc, who was sworn in earlier this week to replace Chrystia Freeland.
Yeah, there's no way LeBlanc could take both of those, public safety and finance minister. We all knew that was ridiculous.
Some new faces also joining cabinet, including Montreal MP Rachel Bendayan, Nova Scotia MP Darren Fisher, and Winnipeg MP Terry Duguid.
So Rachel Bendayan there, it's very interesting because recently she's been getting up to speak a lot. She's been taking a lot of the heat, and I made comments about it. I'm like, why is this, backbenching crumb snatcher up here taking all this heat and answering the questions? I don't know if they were auditioning her and testing her out, or she had already got the job and she was just stepping in, but there you have it. As for Mr. Clean's dad, I don't know who this guy is. I don't know who this guy is either, but they're getting promotions. There's an interesting clip here on the Corrupt Broadcasting Corporation. Chantal Herbert reports that Justin Trudeau is seeking a method to hand over power to a successor in a process that doesn't extend over months. If she's right, he may be resigning soon. So in that Globe and Mail article, it also said a proper leadership race might take 5 months. They might put in a leader in the interim to take over while they do a proper leadership race. Crazy times here. I still won't believe it until Captain Schmuck steps down himself. Maybe he's finally hit his breaking point.
That he's trying to find a way to stay, which in part I want to believe is comes from people who think the worst of Justin Trudeau, and maybe they're right. I'm hearing the opposite, that he wants to know how to go about a succession contest that doesn't spread over months. And by the way, The Liberals did move from Stéphane Dion to Michael Ignatieff within a matter of days and weeks. But on that basis, it would take most of the people who want to run for the leadership to think, let someone else take the hit in the next election and then I'll run, and to let one person stand.
So who knows what's going to happen with this? And just so you know, I'm going to have to start cutting off the footage and stuff from this company because they're launching their onslaught against creators on here. How it started, how it's ending. Look at these people, God help us. Resign. Election now. With all this, Justin Trudeau still trying to stack the deck. This slime ball, look at this. Justin Trudeau appoints a former Liberal MP and former provincial Liberal cabinet minister to serve as senators for Nunavut and Nova Scotia, respectively. He has been stacking the deck for so long. This absolute greaseball, an absolute disgrace. When we were going to change the Senate to an elected position instead of a place where petty tyrants place like-minded individuals to thwart the will of the people of Canada. Yeah, it should be elected positions in the Senate, because what ends up happening here is they can appoint someone and then they'll be in there for 30 or 40 years. In the case of Trudeau, he appoints all of the Liberals as independents, trying to trick people, but it doesn't work. So we've got this one here that's 90 appointed out of 105 total for 86% control of the Senate for Trudeau right now. So this is just talking on the same thing here. They can stay there until they're 75 and not independent in any way. We've also got another Liberal MP calling for Trudeau to quit. That brings it to 18 now. 18 that have come out publicly, and there's at least 60 that have privately said they want him gone.
But I do think at this particular time, it is time to, because it is a domestic issue, and it's one that we can have an impact on, that it's time to come forward. I think people feel very negatively, or rather negatively, about all the options on the ballot if we were to have an election right now. And it would be nice to offer them somebody to vote for as opposed to against, so that we would have a good voter turnout so that the election results will be valid.
How many have to call for the guy to quit? I think there's actually a possibility he steps down now, like 30% maybe, just based off what we're hearing from the Globe and Mail, these inside reports. Maybe we'll get a real Christmas present from the Liberal Party this year. Who? Another rat coming from under the salted pork barrels to jump ship? Who is she? Another nobody. Oh, this comment section is a little savage. Someone didn't get a cabinet position today. That's what's going to happen. Next up, we got a story here from Ben Shapiro talking about Donald Trump teaching Trudeau how to negotiate and just ripping him a new one. This is quite something. This is such a kind of far-fetched story. I think it's actually true.
The tariffs are really designed, not because tariffs are like fun and games. Tariffs are designed for President Trump as leverage. There is no one in the history of American politics who has used leverage better than President Trump. Right? He uses tariffs as a way of threatening countries to do what he wants. So I'll give you a story. I won't give you the source on the story because I don't want to betray confidence, but it's a great story, so I'm going to tell it anyway. Okay, so this is a story I'd never heard anywhere before. Here's the story. President Trump is meeting with Justin Trudeau, okay, who may or may not be Fidel Castro's son. In any case, by the way, he's totally Fidel Castro's son. Anyway, he's meeting with Justin Trudeau, apparently, during the first administration, and he is asking for a bunch of things, right, for Canada to do. And Trudeau doesn't want to give all of them. So Trump says to his people, bring Justin here, bring Justin to me. So apparently they sit across from one another. And Trudeau is talking with the president, and President Trump says, Justin, I want you to tell me, if there were one thing I could do tomorrow to completely wreck the Canadian economy, what would it be? And Trudeau goes, well, I mean, Mr. President, there are a lot of things. You're a very powerful country, but, you know, if you tariffed our cars, it would be really, really bad. And Trump goes, Justin, I want to teach you a lesson. The first thing not to do in a negotiation is answer the question, if you could do one thing to destroy me, what would it be? So, of course, President Trump continues, I don't care about Canada. I only care about America. So I'm going to tariff all your cars unless you give me what you want. He got what he wanted. Okay, that's how I think President Trump thinks about tariffs.
I think Trudeau's so dumb that this probably actually happened. Like, this sounds very legitimate. Justin is so clueless and egocentric that he answered one thing I can do tomorrow to completely wreck my support base. The real answer is stop buying energy from the US. So you see here, this is from 2022, and you can see here that oil, minerals, etc. Yeah, it's oil. America buys a lot of oil, which is more than the transportation sector. But of course, Trudeau doesn't know what's going on in the government. Next up, we got this one from Ryan Garrettson. It says, rumor has it this vile woman may become part of the Liberal cabinet. If so, Trudeau sure knows how to pick them. So this is Jennifer O'Connell.
This is here. Sorry, excuse me. I have the floor, and I'd appreciate.
During when I
Excuse me,
and
I
you
have the
came
floor.
here deliberately to cause conflict. That is your
Excuse
role.
me,
That
I'm
has
a
always
member
been your
of
role.
Parliament.
This has been a
Dr.
peaceful
Lewis,
committee
Get out of here.
until you
Dr.
intervene,
Lewis.
and that is how you speak to your
Dr.
colleague.
Lewis.
Get out of here.
You said I'm
very
not-
eloquent.
you said
very
that I'm
eloquent.
not-
Dr.
You're
Lewis,
not
I'm gonna have
going
to
to
call you
bully
out of
us.
order,
You are
Dr.
not going
Lewis.
to bully us. Canadians are going to hear from the witnesses,
I'll
and
let
we
you-
demand that.
Dr. Lewis, Ms. O'Connell had the floor. I think we can all respect each other. It's the standard practice here in this committee. Let's not bring what's occurring in other committees into this room. Yeah, you can only avoid that if you don't bring liberals into the room. This is what you get for $200,000+ a year. Ridiculous. Next up, we got a clip here from CTV of Tom Mulcair, who yo-yos back and forth on his opinions between being right and being completely out to lunch.
With regard to Carney and Dominic LeBlanc, just sort of blankly stating that, Carney had come on board as one of Trudeau's key advisors. You can be sure that he wanted nothing to do with this absolute mess, and he was very wise to step back from it. Carney is so close to Freeland, he's actually the godfather of one of her kids. So you can be sure that once he saw this mess, he just sort of, I'm not going to touch this. And so the Liberals lost their best chance to have somebody with incredible stature and credibility in Mark Carney.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, incredible stature. We don't want carbon tax Carney. Sure, he has a lot of experience in the banking, all that sector. I think what's more important here that Tom actually nailed is the fact that he is the godfather to Chrystia Freeland's kid. And so the fact that Chrystia Freeland got axed like that, did Trudeau not think about this and how he is related to Chrystia Freeland? They're all connected. Carney's connected to Trudeau too through a couple of different family members. Trudeau is such an idiot. Trudeau didn't even have the respect to have a face-to-face conversation with Freeland and said, hey, I want to try a new strategy because we're failing so miserably. I want to put carbon tax Carney in that role. I want to put you in another role. It'll change up the optics and maybe that'll do something. He didn't do that. Just fired her over Zoom. And then Carney's like, I'm out of here. I don't want to have anything to do with this.
To at least come into the breach. And now, who knows? It's going to be, a cast of minor characters probably fighting it out to replace Trudeau. Because I don't think, Roger, to cut to the chase, I don't think that Trudeau can stick around. I don't think that's plausible.
No, and the fact he hasn't spoken at all this week, I think a lot of people are questioning that. Can that hurt him any more than where he is in the polls? Can he sink any further?
Well, you can't sink much further in the polls, but look at British Columbia. There was a by-election in a Liberal federal riding in British Columbia this week. The Liberals won the last election there.
He's talking about Cloverdale Langley. So it was a landslide victory, like 66 to 16%, something like that.
The Conservatives got 66% of the vote in a multi-party battle. 66%, Roger. The Liberals were down to 16%, and the NDP almost wiped out. I think they got something like 11 or 12%. So it should have been a lesson to the Liberals after they had lost that key St. Paul's riding in Toronto, after they lost the La Salle-Verdun-Émard in Montreal. These were all strong Liberal ridings. And yet Mr. Trudeau seems immune to it. He thinks he's going to somehow ride this through. He's capable of the best and the worst. He's done some very good things. His relationship with First Nations has been outstanding, for example.
It is? I don't think First Nations see it that way. The First Nations are suing Trudeau. What is this?
But on the economy writ large, it's been his downfall. So thank goodness he had Freeland there at least saying, well, we're going to tell the public we've got guardrails and anchors. But when Trudeau insisted on blowing through those, hey, we had a more than 50% increase in the already announced massive debt of $40 billion for this year. Okay. We were running that deficit of $40 billion already, and they added more than 50% to it. They don't know how to manage. They've increased the size of the civil service massively. It's been bulimic. But because it's so inefficient and badly run, they give billions and billions of dollars of contracts to outside companies to do the work that the civil servants were supposed to be doing. It's just falling apart. And I know it sounds like the theme that Poilievre has been driving, that things are broken. But when you look at it objectively and based on experience, I can tell you, I've been in government for a whole long time. I've never seen anything run quite this badly. But I think the answer was in Bill Morneau's book. He said that everything turned around Trudeau. Everything centered on him, whether it was the Prime Minister's office or the whole Privy Council office. In other words, Roger, we didn't have Mr. Trudeau running a government for Canadians. He wanted the Canadian government run for Justin Trudeau to make sure of his advancement. Okay. And that's the final scene on the stage. I think that's what Canadians finally saw.
All right. On that note,
I think it's time we know how many acres of land does Justin Trudeau have in his real estate development company? How many houses are in there? How many buildings? How many structures? How many acres? How much land is in that company? Because that tells us a lot for all the decisions he's made on immigration that has broken this country. And based on that number, he should be charged for his crimes against us. He's not brought in all these people to help our country. He's done it to enrich himself. And for any of the new subscribers, I haven't talked about this in a while, but if you look on Justin Trudeau's conflict of interest page, he has disclosed he has a real estate development company, but it doesn't say anything aside from selling lumber and selling logs or something on there off that land. But he owns a real estate development company. For him to jack the immigration rate through the roof, it increases his land value in that company exponentially. Meanwhile, in Germany, we've got thousands of Muslim immigrants who have arrived for the Christmas festivity fair in Germany to protest against the tradition. That's right, they're protesting Christmas because it's not their religion. This is not going to go over. You can't come into the country and try to eradicate people's religion. Like, who do you think you are? This is the WF agenda in action. I don't think diversity is the strength. Religion is just too powerful for people. You can't have conflicting religions when one of the religions wants to get rid of all the other religions. If you guys want to sign this petition by Ryan here, it's gaining a lot of steam, 24,000 votes in a single day. Sponsored by Michelle Ferreri here. This is to demand an election. It says demand the Prime Minister advise the Governor General to dissolve Parliament. So I'll leave it in the description down below. So what do you think is going to happen? Do you think Trudeau will step down on Monday? Do you think Captain Schmuck will grab the wheel and continually steer our ship, our country, into that iceberg? The feminist Trudeau has proven to not be a feminist. He doesn't care about anyone but himself. He's got his money. Like, what else does the guy need? It's time to go, Trudeau. It's time to go.